It came on quick for me for ecstasy. Yeah, very quick. I was doing it every weekend. And like, I'm not joking. The heavens opened. There was a light, and it was like singing, and it was like, oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy! Look at this guy! And whoa! Like it was just the most beautiful thing ever.
Applaud you just for being so raw and open and vulnerable. Like, I love people like that. I love testimony meetings where people just get up and like share stories like this.
I spent all my life lying to my family, to my church, to people, random people. I'm an honest person now. I try to be as most honest as I can. And it's important to talk about real things and not sugarcoat anything. They probably taught us this in Young Women's. I mean, I'm sure they did, but maybe I wasn't listening. But like, as soon as I didn't feel worthy, I felt like I didn't have any worth.
This episode is sponsored by scripturenotes.com. All of the scriptural references we use in this video will be brought to you by Scripture Notes. For more information on Scripture Notes, please make sure you check out the links in the description.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Women of Ward Radio. I am Brittany the Shadow. Joining me via Zoom, we have Charlotte, Rachel, and our special guest, Mallery Bringhurst. Charlotte, you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, meet Mallery Bringhurst. She's amazing. Rachel and I met her at the Fair Conference, which was back in August in Utah. And we were sitting at the table, like on the other side of this really large auditorium. And I just kept catching this flicker of color, like lots of color on the other side of the auditorium. And I just thought, I've got to find out who is wearing all that color. And so at the very end of the conference, I ran up and I found Mallery, and there's a picture there, Cardon, of her and of Rachel and myself at Fair with these beautiful bright earrings and this beautiful bright colorful dress. And little did I know that her personality and her story was even more amazing than the bright colors that she was wearing. So Mallery, you have an incredible story for us of the journey of your life. And as you're telling your story, and maybe more at the end, I'd love to do a little debunking, because your story and the things that you're going to tell us about are going to debunk several very popular anti-Mormon claims, which are simply, 1, the Book of Mormon is stupid. Hear that a lot. 2, the Mormon church makes you feel unworthy or not good enough. Hear that a lot. That's not true. 3, the Mormon church has too many rules. You aren't a free agent if you can't do drugs. So it's like, so many restrictions on the church. And then the 4th is Mormon families cut off disobedient children. Also a lie that we can debunk today. So with that, Mallery, take it away.
Okay, hi. I am so excited. Thank you for letting me do this. I love sharing my story. And it always starts off, I like to go way back, just because when you go through recovery and everything, you realize oh, well, why did this happen? It was because of things that, from when I was younger. So I grew up in the church. My parents, my family, amazing. Just so faithful and so loving and just so great. But I was very different than my siblings. I noticed that growing up. I'm very outgoing, very loud. I like to be the center of attention. Surprise. I don't know.
And move the screen so she's in the middle.
I know, right? I know. That's why I'm trying to, sorry. And I'm going to be really fidgety. I like to move around. I can't sit still. So my siblings, more quiet, right? More reserved. And so growing up, I was just always different from them. And I also, we didn't talk about feelings a lot in my family, and it wasn't anything on my parents' side. It was just, they didn't grow up doing that. So we didn't grow up doing that. And I had all these weird feelings and
How young were you when they do you remember?
Yeah. It started mostly in 6th grade about. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you had no one to talk to about them?
I mean, I could have talked to my parents, but I didn't because we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. And then, so I thought something was wrong with me just from that. Because I'm in a happy life and my family is amazing. I go to church. I shouldn't be having those feelings and those thoughts. And so, at least that's what I thought. And so, at a very young age, that's all I had all these suicidal thoughts go through my mind. And because I didn't think they were right and there was something wrong with me, I didn't know how to express it. And so I ended up self-harming a lot. And because I couldn't feel, I needed to feel something besides that. So all through beginning of junior high and everything, I started to self-harm. And then I needed, because of that, I don't know if it's just because of that, but I felt like I needed to be loved and liked all the time too. And I didn't realize that was a problem, but it became a problem real quick because I wanted people to like me. And when those people liked me, I wanted people to love me. And unfortunately, what I thought was love was physical love. And so at a very young age, I was sexually active. And that was kind of like a tipping point for me. As soon as I was sexually active, thoughts in my mind didn't just go from like suicidal thoughts, but came to like, I am worthless now. There is like, I'm ruined in a sense. And unfortunately, that's how from junior high to high school, that's how I felt inside. And nobody knew. Like, you could ask people I grew up with, my family, like, I was so good at being happy and like showing everyone that I'm doing just fine, even though I wasn't at all. And because of feeling like that, just in the church, and unfortunately, they probably taught us this in Young Women's. I mean, I'm sure they did, but maybe I wasn't listening. But like, as soon as I didn't feel worthy, I felt like I didn't have any worth. So my worthiness, I wasn't obeying the law of chastity, right? So I felt like, well, that's out the window now. So now that's all I don't have any worth. There's no point in trying to be better because it's already, in my mind, ruined, you know? Mm-hmm. So all through junior high and high school, I dealt with that. I didn't do any drugs, surprisingly, in junior high and high school. It was just the need to be loved and liked. And I thought the love had to be physical. Like, that's how I thought somebody would love me, is it had to be a physical love. And so getting out of high school, that's when things kind of went a little bit downhill. I met up with a boy that I had a really big crush on. I mean, let's call him Brad Pitt, because like, I don't want to use names, but like, I called him Brad Pitt because he had like that jawline, you know, and he was like very, very muscular. And he was like, hey, you want to date me? And I'm like, yes, I totally want to date you, Brad Pitt. Like, it was like a dream come true for me, I guess. And he at the time was into drugs. So like, it was just, but it was ecstasy, MDMA. And I remember like thinking, I don't ever want to do this, but he wants me to do it and he loves me. So I'm going to do it. And long story short, through doing ecstasy, I met my husband. Surprise! Oh, it's not Brad Pitt though. So thank the heavens. No, Brad Pitt. Oh gosh, good. Kick that guy out of there. No, but can I tell you how I met my husband? It's the greatest story, and I love it so much.
Yes.
Hey, hold on.
I'm dying to know how ecstasy brought you guys.
Was he an officer? Your husband?
You know what?
Did he arrest you?
Yeah. This is like every romance girlie's like obsession right now. So
you know what?
So true.
That would be such a great story to tell, but that is not my story.
Okay.
He was on the opposite side of that law. So I met him at an after party.
Okay.
We went to rave is what they're called, the masquerade or whatever. Anyway, so we went to one of those and we were at the after party, and he was walking up the stairs to this house, and I was walking down the stairs, and I saw him, and like, I'm not joking, the heavens opened, there was a light, and it was like singing, and it was like, oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, look at this guy. And
whoa.
Like, it was just the most beautiful thing ever. And I stopped him walking up the stairs, and I was like, hey, I noticed he had star tattoos on his arms. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got tattoos. And I pulled my pants down, not all the way, like, calm down. Like, I had just gotten star tattoos on my hips, and I was like, yeah, you know, I thought it was so cool. And I was like, I just got these tattoos, and I pulled my pants down to show him. And his face, he was like, okay. And then he like walked right around me and like didn't say anything to me.
He didn't see the lights and the stars and the beams on you at that moment.
Oh gosh, no. This poor man, like, I wore him down because he like just was not interested at all. He was kind of like, who is this crazy lady? What is she doing? Pulling her pants down in front of me. What is going on? No, but I mean, it was for me, it was love at first sight. I saw him and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to marry this man. It was crazy. But yeah, I wore him down, in other words. Yeah. So I broke it off with Brad Pitt, and then Russ and I started dating, and it was amazing. It was so good. Oh my gosh. But we were addicts. We were both addicts. We were both doing drugs at the same time. And
how quickly did it take you from just like having ecstasy with Brad Pitt to calling yourself an addict? Was it pretty fast? Is it pretty easy to get addicted into all sorts of drugs?
Absolutely. Here's the problem with addictions. I mean, there's a bunch of problems, but the main thing is you don't know what your body likes. You don't know what you're going to like. I liked ecstasy. It made me even more happy and more outgoing than I already am. But I've tried weed. I've tried alcohol. Those things, I don't like them. Like my body, I wouldn't be addicted to those. I don't like them very much. So you don't know. That's the problem. You don't know what your body is addicted to or what will like, your mind will like until you do it. Which is so scary because, I mean, that's how, so yeah. Didn't know it came on. It came on quick for me for ecstasy. Yeah, very quick. I was doing it every weekend while I was dating Brad Pitt, and then while I was dating Russ for a little while.
Do you think that like the pain, like so much of addiction too, is like trying to escape actual feelings that you already feel, which you described, like feeling so much like worthlessness or like I'm ruined. Since you were pretty young, it means that there was like a really long period of time where you just felt horrible about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was this drug that offered a kind of a relief from that to some extent. Did that exacerbate it maybe?
Yeah, it totally offered a relief. But then you come down. That's the hard part. Like everyone talks about getting high and it's so great and amazing. But then there's the come down. The come down is so painful, like physically and mentally and just everything. And so that's why, I mean, so when you're addicted to something, I'm sure you guys know this, but your brain chemically changes, right? Yeah. And so instead of like normal things, I call it like a light flashing. I go like this because I feel like that's what it was, a light flashing in my brain. Instead of like saying, oh, you need to eat right now. You need like normal things, go to sleep, brush your teeth, stuff like that. It was, you need to get high. And that's all it was. And so, yeah, so it was my coping.
The only message your body was sending your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
At this time, what was your relationship with your family and with the church like?
So I had stopped going to church. I stopped going to church. So my dad, my parents, they let me be me. I was 18 at this time. I was still living at home. So they had their rules, about being at home and stuff. And I went to work. Like I was a pretty good drug addict at first. Like I was able to work all through being high constantly. And
you mean like you were high functioning? You were a high functioning drug addict. Like,
there we go.
Like you weren't a mess. You weren't like, homeless on the side of the street. You were like
not yet.
Masking
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So you were it's so interesting, like the things that we look for when we think about drug addiction or alcohol addiction is we're like, but you seem so put together, like, but it's just a high functioning ability to, handle it till you can't, I guess.
It reminds me, maybe this is not a good analogy, but it reminds me of like when a kid is drowning. Like you think like they would show signs of them thrashing around, but they're silent. And you wouldn't really know a kid is drowning unless you are really looking for that, because so many people think that they're thrashing, they're yelling for help, but it's not, it's silent. So
that is such a good point. I think that's a brilliant, because it's eerie when you see a child start to drown. It is so eerie how fast and how like unnoticed it can go.
Yeah.
It's a great.
And Mallery, before we go any further, I just want to applaud you just for being so raw and open and vulnerable. Like I love people like that. I love testimony meetings where people just get up and like share stories like this, and like instead of just I know the church is true. You know, like those are great, but like I love like the raw and open and vulnerable and like the real like come to Jesus moments. So I just want to say thank you. And everyone has an addiction. I also want to say that like Mallery has like a drug addiction or had, sorry, but like social media, sugar, food, sex.
Oh, yes.
Like pick your poison. We're all addicted to something. So anyway, I just want to say thank you for being here and continue.
Yeah, no, I love
and
that.
I had a question. When you were talking about the feelings of being unworthy and worthlessness, is that something, do you think that was like pushed upon you by church teachings? Or would you say, and this is maybe what I feel, that many people in that situation would feel pretty badly about themselves anyway? That they would just feel pretty down, not feeling loved and being involved in those things. When you were in those circles, was everyone around you totally happy and confident, or were many people quietly suffering like you were?
So that's what is so, like, it's hard to answer that because I hate to say it was church culture because, I mean, I want to say maybe a little bit of both, only because, you know, we had those lessons of the chewed up piece of gum and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Did you really have those lessons?
We really did. We had, and like that's one of those, but like I said, it's not really like, I didn't take that as much to heart. I think it was so much of the pretending and the masking, pretending like I'm this good person that, like, even though I was a good person, I am a good person, you know, but like, I think because I was masking so hard and like pretending so hard, that made it that much worse for me. Like that's like the despair and the worthlessness just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Because like, especially when I loved to bear my testimony. Oh my gosh, I would go, even during this, I would go up and I'd bear my testimony and I would say how much I love the church and all these things. And then I'd have people come to me, oh, we loved your testimony and everything like that. So like it's so hard. I have people come up to me, we love your testimony, we love how much you love the gospel. And then I'm like, I really do. But then I'm like, oh no, but I am worthless. I am so, if they only knew the real me, you know? And yeah, so like not totally church culture, but like seeing my other friends who were in Young Women's who were doing so well. And from what I know, I mean, I have no idea. Maybe they were struggling with the same things. I don't know. But like from what I saw, I felt like I was alone in the struggle, which again, if I had only spoken up, that's like the biggest thing. We need to talk about these kind of things. And that's one of the biggest things. So I appreciate you saying thank you for sharing this, because I spent most of my life lying. I spent most of my life lying to my family, to my church, to people, random people. I'm an honest person. I try to be as most honest as I can. And it's important to talk about real things and not sugarcoat anything. Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
So how would you see that in conversations with parents and teenage daughters? I mean, part of our audience, it's, you know, like their moms, their parents who see you and think, how can I learn as a parent in this situation? Or, you know, what can we learn? How can we better have these conversations with our youth as a parent and as a youth leader, so that if someone's masking like that, we can help, you know, help unmask them, help because the feelings that you had about worthlessness, and like, we shouldn't be feeling those. Like, we need to be able to better be teaching about our worth and better teaching about Jesus Christ and his atonement. And yeah, so maybe you were going to cover that at the end. We're cutting off your story.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But this is really important.
This is where it's going.
I have 3 teenage daughters. How can I help them?
Yeah, so I will just touch on this just a little bit right now, but because that is towards the end of how, because I go into my calling a lot now, so it's cool.
Yeah.
So honestly, you need to open that communication. You need to be able to sit there and let them talk to you and not judge them. And I know that's like a primary answer, but it's true. There's been times where I've asked my children to talk to me, and I mean, they still can close off. And I know that of them, but they'll come up to me and they'll be like, well, I don't want you to be mad at me. And I'm like, I am never going to be mad at you. You just need to talk to me so we can have an open conversation about it. So that's one of the bigger things that I like to tell when I get to speak to youth quite a lot. And when I say that, I say, look at your parents, look at your young women leaders. They are here right now for a reason. You're in this family for a reason. These teachers are called right now for a reason. talk to them. And then you, as the leader or the parent, you just need to sit and listen and just not judge and let them know no matter what happens, they are loved, not just by you, but by our Savior. Like, they are so inherently loved no matter what they go through. So.
I love how you said just listen, because I think maybe one of the fears of sitting and asking big, deep questions and wanting to listen is the fear of, well, what am I going to do if they tell me something that I don't know how to handle or I don't know how to respond? So I love your advice that just listening is opening the door to knowing that you are loved, that person who's talking to you is loved, even just listening. So when you're the leader or the parent, don't not ask questions because you're worried about what you're going to do. Like, just ask and just listen, because even the act of listening is a huge sign of love and caring. And if something does come out that's worrisome and is a big deal, well, then steps will be open. Like, the Spirit can help, you can get other help, but don't let that stop. Okay, I'm repeating myself now.
Okay, Mallery, let's get to your 100% story.
Right. Okay. All right. So where I leave off, my husband, I showed him my stars and everything. Okay. And then he was a litlittle more into the drug scene than I was. He was doing heroin at the time too. And I remember telling him, so we started dating. I remember telling him, like, listen, like, it's totally justified. I'm like, listen, Russ, you can't do heroin. You can do ecstasy. Heroin is a no-no. Like that's oh my gosh. I giggle too at it now because it's kind of crazy.
There are drug rules. Yes. There
are drug rules. Okay. We are not heroin users. We just like to party and use ecstasy. Okay. And I told him, I was like, if you do that, we're not going to date anymore. And so he actually stopped because he wasn't really doing it that often. Like, it wasn't a huge thing for him. And so he actually stopped. But we were still doing ecstasy. We were still getting high every weekend. It was crazy. And at this time, my parents, they saw something change. Like, they saw something drastically change. I even had, I had the police one of my friends called the police to my house because they were worried. Because they were worried about me and like the lifestyle I was living. And my mom answered the door, and they're like, the police officers are like, "Oh, is Mallery here? We got to."
Oh, did the house call? Your parents are.
So my mom opens the door and she's like, "What is happening? What is going on?" I'm like, "I'm fine. Don't worry about it." Kind of a thing. And they're like, "We're just doing a check." And I was at my parents' house, and even though I'm an adult, like, they were like, "It's okay as long as she stays here." Blah blah. I don't know. So like, my parents kind of had a oh my gosh, okay, something really is happening. And then there was times my poor family, my poor parents. So like, I pretty much, I don't know if I slapped my mom. I got physical. They were asking me to stop doing what I was doing. I was like, "You can't tell me what to do," even though I'm in they're living under their house. I mean, they've done everything for me. And like, I was like, "No, I'm leaving." I pushed them out of the way. Oh, they are such saints. I love them so much. Anyway, I put them through so much crap. That was only the beginning too. I started living with Russ. We were living at our friend's house, just doing drugs, getting high. And then I found out I was pregnant. So it happens when you're sexually active, right? Yeah. So, I found out I was pregnant with my son, Ethan, and the craziest thing happened. So, we had been doing drugs. I had been smoking also, like a pack a day. That's one thing I found out. I love smoking. I have asthma. That is the stupidest thing in the world. Yeah. Okay. So, but I love smoking, and I was smoking like at least a pack a day, maybe half a pack a day. I don't know. And I found out I was pregnant with Ethan. And that first miracle happened is as soon as I found out I was pregnant with my son, I was able to stop everything cold turkey.
What?
Wow.
Crazy, right? That's
so like primal, like that.
Yeah.
That like mothering in us.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
So I was able to stop everything cold turkey. I know. And like, I wasn't planning on being a mom yet, obviously. It was kind of a surprise, but like, I don't know. I was just able to stop. And so while I was pregnant with Ethan, I didn't do any drugs, didn't smoke or anything. It was like I said, my first miracle probably right there. And then I had Ethan, and then because I am a drug addict, what was the one thing I wanted to do right after I had my son out of me? I wanted to do drugs.
What?
crazy, right? Like it was so crazy. That was my addict. That's the brain of an addict. Even though I had been sober for 9 months, that's the brain of an addict. So my husband and I, we started doing drugs again. And then randomly at this rave, we had a come to Jesus moment. And it was actually him that had it. He was like, babe, what are we doing? Like, we're parents now. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I know we are, aren't we? Like, so my husband was the one to say it first. And then, so we tried to get clean. He enlisted into the military. He's always wanted to be a Marine. And so he enlisted into the Marine Corps. And at this time also, though, we were doing pain pills, Oxycontin, pretty heavily.
That's bad.
Oh man, again, you don't know what your body likes. My body loves painkillers, man. So it took me a while to get off of that. Russ, he went into the Marine Corps, and like he pretty much had to do a cold turkey because he went to boot camp, like barely off of it. Anyway, so I get sober also during that time while he's at boot camp. He graduates boot camp. We go to California. We have 4 amazing years, 4 so good years in California while he was in the Marine Corps. He was deployed 2 years into Afghanistan, and I was pregnant with our daughter at the time. And after I had Izzy, my back started hurting really bad. And I was in Utah while he was deployed because I needed help for my parents. And I went in to the doctor and found out I have something called façade syndrome and degenerative disc disease. So my spine is not like all the way, like there's like kind of gaps. And so my back was hurting really, really bad. And unfortunately, they prescribed me very strong painkillers. Really strong, actually, way too much for what I needed. And I started taking painkillers again. And then Russ got home. Russ got home from Afghanistan. And because, I mean, we are both addicts. We have to be so careful. We're both addicts. He is like, hey, can I have some of your pain pills? I'm like, of course you can. They're mine. Of course. Yeah, here. And so we started both just using my pain pills. And then when that ran out, because we would run out because I didn't have enough, I would go doctor shopping in California. And then, so that lasted for the last couple of years of his duty. And then he did his 4 years and he's like, I'm not going to re-enlist. So we came back home. And it's a lot harder to doctor shop in Utah, apparently. I wasn't able to get pills. But so thank you, Utah, for that. Kind of thank you, I guess, because that's what led me to heroin. So maybe not thank you. So because we're addicts and we had addict friends growing up, one of our friends was like, hey, you can't get these pain pills, but there's this thing called heroin. It's cheaper, it's stronger. Do you want that? And so we started using heroin. And then along with heroin comes meth. Like they kind of go like as a bundle. I didn't like heroin, but it helped with my back pain. But I love meth. Oh my gosh. Like I felt invincible on meth. Like it was crazy. We were using meth and heroin. We were just smoking it. And then, because we said, we're never going to inject it into our bodies. Like, we're not those kind of drug addicts, you know? And it's crazy how, like, small little events can, like, lead up to... So anyway, we started injecting it into our bodies.
Can I ask, as you, like, progressed, did your dopamine not respond as much to, like the pain meds were... So you know what I'm asking? Like, did the dopamine reaction just not like give you as much of a high or a feeling of euphoria, and then you switch? There's almost like an incentive to like biologically to try something new because that new thing will give you the high that you first. Yeah. I just wondered if that was the case. Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard, like you always chase that first high is kind of like what an addict thinks. So like, yeah, your body gets used to it a certain way, sniffing it, smoking it, and so the next thing to do would to be injected into your bloodstream. So, I mean, that was the next way for us to be able to feel, I wouldn't even say get high, feel normal. And unfortunately, we were doing this with our children still in our house with us.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So again, we weren't the best drug we could function kind of like our family thought something was going on, but they kind of were too scared. Maybe, I don't know, to ask. But there came a time.
There was a point too where like maybe you thought you were hiding it better than you were.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
like, we're so good at this. Like nobody knows.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? And then later you find out that like the people who you knew the best, maybe like a sibling, were like, oh, we knew.
Oh, well,
like, you know what I mean?
I mean, me as an addict to me now is night and day. Like, I see it. My parents, I know they saw it. My siblings, they all saw it. I thought we were hiding it so well because no one would say anything.
Yeah.
Nobody would say anything. And my parents will tell you, like they didn't want to admit that's what was happening. Like they're like, no, not our daughter. She couldn't be doing that kind of a thing, you know, especially with her kids. Like what was going on? So during this time, I ended up getting arrested. That's one of those pictures there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the mug shots.
So I got arrested and I got pulled over for my license plate or something. I literally had drugs on me. They didn't search the certain thing that where my drugs were, but I got arrested. They booked me and released me. So I'm like, oh yeah, I am invincible right now. I like got booked to release that. I mean, I don't got to do anything. Like I'm so good. I'm such a good drug addict. They don't even know, but they do. Obviously, that's why I got arrested. Anyway, so I got home and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm invincible, kind of a thing, you know. And then slowly, while me and Russ and I are doing this heroin and meth, my brain is starting to play tricks on me. I was later diagnosed with drug-induced schizophrenia and psychosis. Oh. So at this time, while we're in our house, I'm hearing voices in the walls. I'm seeing shadows. I literally have my children up against the wall with me. And I'm like, hey, can you guys hear the voices? Like, tell me you can. I know. I know. Like I talk about it. I'm like, oh, my poor kids. You know, and they're like, no, Mom, there's no voices. There was a night that Ethan came downstairs. I was up on a counter because I thought the ground had turned into like complete darkness and shadow, and I didn't want to fall to my death. It was the laundry room, and it was just I was on the cupboards, but it was my laundry room floor, totally fine. Mm-hmm. Ethan came downstairs because I was screaming, and I was like, Ethan, don't step in it. And he's like, no, Mom, come get down. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, oh, it was
crazy.
crazy.
You know how long the episode lasted? Like. Like, do you lose track of time?
Yeah.
Did you, like, lose?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And the voices got so bad in my mind. And when I talk to youth, I explain it as your worst nightmares, like being yelled at you in your ear. And it was always this side. This is where I heard everything. And like, I would be in my house and I could hear, I thought someone getting raped outside my house. So I'd like run outside. I'd be like, tell me where you are, you know, like yelling, but nothing was happening. It just, it was so bad. So I'm struggling with all these things. I become very, another one of the voices were telling me Russ was cheating on me, and like was gonna leave me. I don't know, just weird things. So I became very verbally paranoid. No, but verbally and physically abusive to my husband. Oh. So like I would come out, I'd throw things at him. I'd smack him. He never once ever laid a hand on me. That man is awesome. During all of this, it was crazy. Like it literally, it changed me so much. It was crazy. And then the second time I got arrested, Russ and I both got arrested. My children were in St. George at the time because they were visiting my in-laws who live down there. And they do that every summer. So they were visiting in-laws. So they weren't with us at this time. And we went to the courthouse because we were both had warrants. So we were doing the right thing, going to the courthouse. And then we both got arrested because of our warrants. And I don't know if it was because of that, but they're like, hey, they have kids. I think we need to send someone to the house because they have kids, you know. But I got booked into jail. Russ got booked and released. So Russ came home, and there was DWS, the Department of Workforce Services, child department for the children. They came to the door, and they're like, can we come in? And Russ was like, sure, because he's high. He got high when he got home. He comes in, and they see our house, and our house was literally like garbage. Okay, you walk in our doorway, there was like a path like this in our living room. There was garbage piled up on the sides. Dishes, diapers, just straight garbage, laundry. And the CPS people looked at that and they didn't even need to there wasn't any paraphernalia anywhere, but they knew just from that this was not livable for children. Like, obviously. So I'm in jail. I'm hearing voices and I'm not even believing this is happening. Like, this reality wasn't my reality. That's not what I thought my mom, for some reason, while I was using drugs, my mom was the worst person in the world, apparently. I thought my mom was doing this as like a joke to me. Like, so I'm in jail And they're like, you need to come talk to the CPS lady. So CPS meets me at this, there's like the little window in between the jail cell. And she's like, Mallery, we are taking your children away. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And I'm like, I didn't believe her. I was like, Mom, I was like literally saying, Mom, where are you, Mom? And I'm like looking to find my mom because I thought my mom had done this. Like, this isn't real. Go ahead, take my kids. That's not real.
Hey guys, we're going to pause the video here just for a second to highlight one of our sponsors. We are super grateful for the sponsorship of Tiny 3D Temples. They are a company that produces all kinds of LDS decor. You can see it around our studio. And not only do they help us financially with the program, but they also provide us with all of these cool giveaways for listeners of our program.
It is absolutely beautiful.
This is a beautiful temple in Curitiba, Brazil.
And we are super grateful for their sponsorship. And if you would like to know more, please make sure you guys check them out at tiny3dtemples.com.
But the CPS down in St. George, because my kids were in St. George, they ended up drug testing my children. And my daughter didn't have any drugs in her system, but my son, unfortunately, he had methamphetamine they took his hair follicle. Because if you don't know this about vapors, they're sticky. They stick to things. So even though I was getting high up in my bedroom with my door shut, because that's the safe place for me to get high, smoking, whatever, it stuck to me, the meth did. And so as soon as I opened my door and my son came up to me to give me a hug, there's that transfer. I mean, so like, of course he has drugs in his system, like poor kid. So they took our kids from us. And I end up getting bailed out by Russ. I get home. First thing I do is get high because I'm an addict and I don't believe any of this is happening. So long story short, sorry, there's just so much going on. My parents ended up taking custody. My in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law ended up taking custody of my children for a little while. But my sister-in-law just had a baby and it was kind of hard, especially with kids who obviously have some trauma going on. So my parents ended up taking custody of my children. And nothing changed. I didn't believe what was happening. I thought this was all just a joke because in my mind, it wasn't real. Like the voices in my head kept telling me like, yeah, it's just your mom. Yeah, you're fine. Kind of just weird, so weird things. But while my children were taken, so me and Russ were at home, we were supposed to be drug testing. We didn't. We were supposed to be going to court. We didn't. I was struggling with the voices so bad. I attempted suicide 3 different times while I was at my house. Yeah, I tried to cut my wrists while I was in the bathtub. And I have a little scar, but like stupid me, I guess. I don't know. Like the blade didn't work. Miracle. I'm going to call it a miracle. The blade was blunt. Okay. Second time I tried to hang myself in the shower and that time almost succeeded. I actually sent a message to my siblings telling them I was sorry. I hung myself from my shower and then I woke up at the bottom of my tub and my eyes were bloodshot. I had this purple red ring around my neck and I woke up because there was banging at the door. I barely opened the door and it's my sisters crying. They're like, Mallery, what's going on? Why did you send us this message? And I can't even imagine what they tried to describe it to me one time, what I looked like. They said I looked dead. Like they're like, you look like you were dead. That didn't work. Miracle number 2, miracle number 3. And then I had an episode where I thought I was in withdrawal and withdrawal hurts so bad. We didn't have any drugs. I was in withdrawal. It hurt so bad. I was kind of like in a daze and I had this little vision, I guess you could say, of like my family laughing and everyone's just gathered around and they're having so much fun. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I kind of like walk over and it's me in a casket. Oh. And so I'm like, oh, is that what my family thinks of me? Okay, they want me to die, I will die. So then I took a bottle of Flexerol pills, they're muscle relaxers, because that's all I had. There was 80 of them, and I swallowed them all. That made me unconscious. Luckily, Russ was smart. He called 911. They tried to use Narcan on me, but I wasn't using at the time, so it didn't wake me up. And he's like, we don't have any drugs right now. That's not going to wake her up. She took these. And he's like trying to show her, I went to the hospital. I woke up a couple days later. I was in and out of consciousness this whole time at the hospital. But I had, so it was a couple days later, I was in the hospital. And when I finally woke up, they were like, my mom was like in tears and she's like, we need to do something, Mal, like something has to happen. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I ended up staying in the hospital for a couple days and I was like, fine, let's go to rehab. I'm like, but I don't want to go unless Russ goes. So I was like, we need to go pick up Russ and then we'll both go to rehab. And the LDS hospital has a great recovery program. So we go pick him up, we go up to the hospital and then they admit Russ because he was actively using. They told me no, because I had been not using at the time, but I was in the hospital from overdosing. Anyway, it's fine. It's crazy. It was crazy. So they admitted Russ. He ends up going to the VA because he's a veteran going through a rehabilitation program. And I got sent home. So the first thing I did when I got sent home was got high. I didn't care. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm the one that wants to get sober and they don't even take me at the hospital? That's a joke, right? So for the next 3 months, my husband's getting sober. I am pretty much living on the streets. I'm living at drug dealer's house, doing what I can do to get drugs, which meant using my body to get drugs, which meant stealing, breaking into places, into homes, into cars, all the things. And I was living like that for three months while Russ was in recovery. And then finally Russ got a hold of me and he wrote me a letter. He doesn't write letters. So this was a big deal. It was a big deal. Okay. But it's crazy. I have to. So he doesn't write letters, but this is page, like 3 letters, like 3 pages long. Anyway, so this letter right here, he says it and like, he's like, oh babe, I love you. I'm like, whatever. Okay. Cause I don't care. I'm not in the right mind. Right. And he's like, oh, we want to be 100% honest. I want to live, blah, 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 all these things. I'm like, whatever. The kids are going to get taken, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, I want to make your dream of being sealed together as a family come true. Okay.
Was he a member at the time?
Okay, this is the crazy thing. So he got baptized while he was in the Marine Corps, right before the Marine Corps, but then he hasn't been active since. He was active for like a year and then wasn't active and hasn't been active at all. I told him this maybe like the 3rd week I met him. Wow. Random thing. I've always wanted to be sealed in the temple. I've always wanted to be sealed as a family. He wrote that on this paper. I read that and I'm not joking. It was a light bulb. Boom. Completely just lit up my mind. Instead of this, like, you need to get high, feed your kids, you need to be better. It was like instant. It was, what are you doing? Mallery, wake, like almost like a shake, wake up. And like right then after I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And it's funny because I asked him, like, why did you write that? And he's like, I don't remember writing that. You know? And he's like, and I'm like, ooh, I know why. And it's like, thank you. Thank you. Because it was divine intervention. Like, yeah, he doesn't even know why he wrote that, but I know exactly why. Jesus, take the wheel. He stepped in. It was awesome. So right then, that's when I decided to get sober. December 12th, 2016. So I'm coming up on my 9 years. Yay.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. Holy cow.
So I work really hard. Okay. I decide we get sober. Russ is already getting sober. He graduates recovery. We're going to the programs we need to do. We're doing our visitations with our kids. My aunt invited me back to church. And at this time I was still smoking because I love smoking. And I remember going to my first sacrament meeting and smelling like smoke, cigarette smoke heavily. And all these old ladies came up to me. Shout out Taylorsville, 16th Ward. You guys are the best. So like these ladies, they come up to me, they start hugging me and I'm kind of like going like this because I didn't want them to like smell me, but they didn't care. It's funny enough that the ward that I started going back to when I started getting sober was the ward my mom grew up in. It's the ward my grandma lived in. So these ladies, they knew my family. They knew my grandma. They knew my mom. And so I had a special connection with them that way. And so I was going to church, doing good. I ended up being able to stop smoking. Chewed a lot of nicotine, took nicotine gum to try and stop. And I'm doing everything I need to do. Okay. But I'm still hearing these voices like heavily. And I'm getting really frustrated. Medication wasn't working. And so I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, like something, I don't know what to do. I'm really struggling. She's like, have you prayed? I'm like, praying. Like that's her answer for everything. Okay, who knew she, you guys, your moms are right about everything. Everybody's right. So I was like, fine. So I prayed, but I didn't pray like the normal way. Cause I was really mad after my mom said,
mad prayer. Yes.
I know I was mad. So I literally was like, what do you want me to do? Did I get an answer right then? No. But when I was quiet, finally, okay. So I was, after like being so frustrated and yelling, I calmed down. And then I heard a voice. Oh, spoiler alert. It wasn't one of these voices over here.
Different voice.
It was a different one.
That side.
It was this side. So I heard a voice and it said, read the Book of Mormon. And I was like, ugh. Like, I'm going to be honest. I didn't want to read the Book of Mormon.
Pray and read the Book of Mormon.
What? Like, I don't even remember reading. I don't think I ever read the Book of Mormon all the way through. Like, I kind of skimmed it in seminary, you know, like just did what I had to do or whatever. And I was like, I don't even think I have a Book of Mormon. Like, out of all of the times we've moved houses, we've sold stuff because of drugs, all these things, I don't even know where my Book of Mormon is. I get up. It's literally in the cabinet.
Right
my
there.
Seminary Book of Mormon. It's in the cabinet.
Cool.
No way.
And I was like, okay. So I open it up and I just like, I think I started in Mosiah and I just opened it and I just like read a verse and I was like, okay, done. And I was like, nothing changed. Yeah. And then I found myself after recovery every day after I came home and my Book of Mormon was sitting on the couch and I was like, fine. So I read another one, read a verse, ended up reading a chapter. Like each day I read a little bit more. About a week went by. I was driving in my car and I listened to music very loud because the voices are so loud that I want to tune them out. So I'm listening to my burned CD I made, you know, and so I'm listening to these positive songs. I know, right? And, you know, there's the second gap in between. And I'm waiting at a light and that 2-second gap where there's no music comes on. It starts and I don't hear anything like in my ear.
No voices.
And I was like, yeah, no voices. I was like, oh my gosh. So I like, wait, no. So I turn it down just to be sure. And I'm like driving and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I like start freaking out.
They were just gone?
They were like, so they were tuned, like, it almost sounded like a barely little muffle, you know?
Whoa.
Which is amazing because it says how much you were really dealing, like how chronic this was, like torturing you mentally almost, these
torturing me to where I thought like I didn't know what was real. Like I couldn't like if did somebody just say something, like that's how it was. So I call my mom, I'm driving. I'm like, Mom, I can't hear anything. And she's like, what's happening? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, no, I don't hear any voices. And she's like, well, what did you do? Did you take some more different kind of medicine? I'm like, no, it's nothing like that. I don't know. And I get home, I walk in and I see the Book of Mormon sitting on the couch and I'm like, wow, that's what it is.
That's amazing.
I'm like, that is the only thing that changed. The only thing I did different was read the Book of Mormon. And so,
wow.
Hey guys, we're going to pause the video here just for a second to highlight one of our sponsors. We are super grateful for the sponsorship of Tiny 3D Temples. They are a company that produces all kinds of LDS decor. You can see it around our studio. And not only do they help us financially with the program, but they also provide us with all of these cool giveaways for listeners of our program.
It is absolutely beautiful.
This is a beautiful temple in Curitiba, Brazil.
And we are super grateful for their sponsorship. And if you would like to know more, please make sure you guys check them out at tiny3dtemples.com.
Crazy, right? It's my miracle medicine, man. I tell you what. And to this day, if I notice voices in my head getting a little bit louder, a little bit more congested, a little bit more noise, I noticed that I had also not done really good reading. Like, it's not like everyday reading, but like I noticed that if I am not actively searching in the scriptures, those voices, they come back. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? So
the Book of Mormon is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
The Book of Mormon isn't about not hearing voices. The Book of Mormon is not about stopping drugs and being a good parent. It's about all these other people in a long time ago doing all these battles and scriptural things. Yet there is such a special power in it. People who read the Book of Mormon experience miracles that are inexplicable, except that there's power in reading that book. God promised there would be, and you felt it.
I did. And so really quick, sorry, I know I'm going to get to this. So me and my husband, we do everything that we're supposed to do. And we finally get our kids back. We got reunification. Our case is closed.
Wow.
All the things. So we both worked
and your house,
so hard.
You cleaned it. What happened to your house?
We cleaned the house top to bottom. Like my parents, my family, they came and helped scrub it. I mean, we had, because we were using needles, we had because I wasn't very good. I missed a lot and I'd get frustrated and I'd push my needle. So there was drugs on the ceiling. Like there was my blood and drugs on the ceiling. It looked like a crime scene, man. So my family loved them. They came and helped me scrub everything.
Your family sounds amazing. That's incredible.
They really are.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we get our kids back.
Sounds like your family didn't disown you. Sounds like your family loved you very much through all of this and supported your.
Yeah. I wouldn't be sober if it wasn't for my family. They're a big part of it. They never gave up on me. They enabled me for a little while because they didn't want to believe what was happening. Mm-hmm. But when they stopped enabling me, they just supported me and loved me. And then
because we're clueless, it's such a difficult, unknown thing. Yeah. How do you do that? Yeah, it's hard for anybody in or out of the church. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing. Sorry. I know. So we got our kids back. Reunification. Everything is great, right? And then I get a feeling that I need to go to the temple, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know this feeling because I know Russ wants to take me there, and we want to get filled. Russ didn't want to go. He didn't believe. Ooh. He doesn't want to. And so I sat there, and I'm like, well, what? But you wrote it in a paper. It says it on the note. I have physical proof. Yeah. So I struggled with wanting to go to the temple for myself versus being still with my family. And I struggled for a long time. I had a lot of Satan was getting at me. He's like, you're so selfish. Why would you go to the temple? Wait for your family kind of a thing. But I ended up going by myself to get my endowment in October 12th. I did. In 2017. Now, thank heaven I did, because 2 weeks after my endowment, my husband relapses.
Oh.
Yeah. So in recovery, they make you do a prevention plan, places to avoid, people to avoid. And then one of the questions is always, what will make you relapse? What's something that will make you relapse? Mine was, if my husband relapses. I mean, he's the reason I'm sober. He was at that point. He was the reason why I was sober. I didn't get sober until he wrote me that note. What?
Yeah.
So I was like, of course, if he relapses, I'm going to relapse. So he calls me while I'm at work, and I'm like, okay, it's okay, it's calm. Okay, he's like, I got to come bring the kids to you. My officer, his PO guy, is going to come pick him up and then take him up to the recovery right away. I'm like, okay. So he brings the kids. I'm like, I gotta go. Work's like, okay, because my work's amazing. And then I was driving home with my kids, and I was freaking out because I was like, hey, I have my children. They just got back to me. I can't do anything that's going to make me lose my children. I can't relapse, but I need to do something. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, Russ left his vape in the car, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to smoke. I love smoking. And that's not bad, really. So I'm like, as soon as I hit a red light, I'm going to smoke. And that's even with the kids in the car. How bad was that, right? I didn't hit a red light. I hit green lights all the way home. Go figure. So I get home, and I'm like, I don't want to smoke at home because we just cleaned this beautiful house. I'm not going to do that. So then I'm like, what can I do? And I'm like, ooh, I can hurt myself. Because that's not hurting anyone else. That's not relapsing, really. And no one will know. So I put my kids in the family room, and I put on a movie for them. I go in the bathroom. I grab a razor. And I go upstairs to my room. I put the razor down right by my bed, and I sit down. And as soon as I sit down, my hands go like this. Now, I wasn't going to say a prayer. I know that should be the story, but it's not. So I go like this. I grab my hands, just go, I don't know, instantly they just go like this. And my hands are gripped together. And I said, as soon as I let go of my hands, I'm going to do what I came up here to do. Just harm myself where I won't really get hurt and nobody will know. So I'm sitting there like this. And an hour, at least hour and a half, hour and 45 goes by. I cannot let go of my hands. I physically cannot. It's almost like someone had their hands on mine.
Yeah.
Believe it if you want. I mean, that's what it felt like. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it was an hour and 40 or hour, 45 minutes, hour 30, because as soon as I let go of my hands, my door opens and my son walks in and he's like, Mom, our movie's over. Can we watch a different one? And this time have popcorn. And it almost woke me up. Yeah, of course they can do that. I will never forget his face when he said that to me.
Yeah.
So I didn't relapse. I didn't harm myself. I didn't do any of those things.
Wow.
And again, this was 2 weeks after I went through the temple.
Wow.
100% guarantee you, my covenants kept me safe. That's what are those odds? What the timing, man, the timing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Russ gets better. He goes through therapy. He does a lot better this time in recovery and addresses some issues that he had struggled with before and all these things. And so now, that was a long way to say now we're good. I have a year sober on him. We joke about it. It's funny. It's okay. When you're an addict, you can joke about stuff like that. So
one up each other and how many years?
I have a year on him. He's been sober for almost 8 years, and I've been sober for almost 9 years, and we living with my family.
So great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, I know it's a long story. Sorry.
What an incredible story. What a journey. What it's amazing that in the depths of how awful things were, somehow you were able to find something to cling on to give you hope and strength to get out of that pit that you were in. Yeah. That is a deep pit. That is a deep, dark pit. And it's so amazing that that one sentence gave you power, that hope, that I have this goal, I have this dream, this beautiful dream, and that's what gave you strength. And I think that's something that's so incredible about Jesus Christ and his gospel, is that no matter how deep the pit is that we're in, there's always light. There's always a beautiful thing to hold on to. There's always a reason to live. There's always a reason to fight, always a reason to get out of the pit, and always a way.
Yeah.
I hope that you're go, Rachel.
Sorry. One of the profound things that Charlotte and I were so struck by when we met you as well is that she was at the fair conference with her father. And it was like, you are she's radiant on the screen, but in person, she just really radiates this positive, loving, happy energy, which, to your point before, is probably why it would have been hard to pick up on your mental health struggles as a child. But you're radiant. And then we look to your dad, and he is like Santa Claus warmth. He is a warm, loving person. And as she was kind of telling us her story, he was so proud. He was just standing, it makes me so emotional just because there's so many parents out there who are in a very hopeless place, and it just seems very clear. I think we asked him, didn't we, Charlotte, what did you do? What's your advice? And he's like, I just kept loving her.
Never give up.
Just keep loving her. And it sounds like you really felt that. It was so amazing to see a family stay so together despite you suffering, them suffering. It seems like you guys also have held together that vision of eternal families, even through the chaos of mortal life too. We knew life would be bumpy. And you guys are this amazing example of that.
Yeah, it's kind of, I was told this all through recovery too, with even our DCFS caseworker. She's like, your family's kind of different just because of how supportive and loving they were. And it would my dad, oh my gosh. So we call him a grizzly bear, but he's more like a teddy bear because he's just this big guy.
So sweet.
He's just so
very masculine, but warm.
Just a big guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh no, we love him. So, excuse me. He never, they always texted me, even when I was using, and just saying, hey, just wanted to let you know we love you. Random things. At the time I'd be like, whatever, but those actually did make an impact. Their constant unconditional love. They didn't approve of what I was doing, but they never ever once said, we don't love you. Okay. They always said, come to us. We will help you. They were always there. They're wanting and willing to help. It wasn't until I decided, until I needed that intervention from Heavenly Father and Savior and husband writing it, that's what kind of woke me up. But they laid that baseline there that I was always welcome back. Even in my drug addiction, they would come and pick me up for family parties, knowing that I was using drugs, but wanted me to be a part of the party with the family. Wow. That's, my family there and my siblings. Oh my gosh, my poor siblings. I can't, they are just as amazing as my parents, my mom and my dad. They have loved me and supported me. And they would take, even when I was using, before they knew exactly what I was doing, they knew my kids weren't getting out because we were just at home doing drugs. They would come and pick up my kids and be like, hey, we're going to go to the zoo. We're going to come grab Ethan and Izzy. and I'm like, okay, fine, take them, because I didn't care. But like they have always, my siblings and my parents always been there, always supportive, always loving.
I think something that your story teaches us too is that life goes a long time. I know that I bet that when you were when things were the worst, it would be very easy for your parents, your friends, your kids to think, this is it, this is forever. I mean, there's no hope for change. And especially your parents, I think they were probably worrying the most. And I know there's a lot of parents out there who their children are struggling and they're worrying a lot too. And I'm just always reminded when I hear stories like this that life goes a long time, and there's time to change. There's time for hope. There's time for strength. And just keep hanging on. And if life's a long time, eternity, is a long time too.
Yeah.
We that's just, your story's so hopeful. I don't have any, I'm just so worried that my children will become traumatized. I don't know why. But I worry a lot, I guess.
I think honestly, like my takeaway, Mallery, for sure is to what Charlotte just said. Like, I think that like you mentioned that there was a period of time where your family knew something was off, and they probably did know. And I think a lot of us, whether it's talking to your children about pornography or talking to them about whatever taboo thing that you're afraid to admit and acknowledge is affecting you, is happening, is that we have this kind of like denial as a coping mechanism for, or even like at the very beginning, like I really loved your point about the feelings thing. Like, it's scary to think that you might have a teenager or a middle schooler who's having these dark feelings. Do we have the courage or the strength to be like, my child is human. I'm going to help them. I'm going to walk with them through this humanness and allow them the space to be human, like in our family. And I think that's the takeaway. I is like, it is hard to acknowledge that your baby or your child is struggling, and like, you have so much lived experience. Like, how do you think you'll approach that? There's so many things that can go wrong. How do you think you'll approach that with parenting and like your kids and picking up on those kinds of things, or just...
Yeah. So I've already had to do that. So surprisingly, I mean, my kids, they are so amazing. Everything that they have been through so much. So we have always tried to be really honest with them and let them know, hey, if you're feeling any of these feelings, you need to let us know. You need to tell us. You need to have that open communication is so important. And I remember it was probably about two years ago, my daughter, she had been acting a little different, and we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And she admitted she had these suicidal thoughts, and me, I sit here and I talk about how we need to be open and talk about it. But when it happens to your own child, I literally stepped back and I was like I had to breathe for a second. I'm like, here I am teaching and preaching all these things about like, yes, this is, you just listen and you support. The first thing I wanted to do was, let me tell you all the things to do, instead of sitting there and listening. Literally, I was like, okay, but this and this and this. And then I kind of see her recoil a little bit. And I'm like, oh no. Hey, I'm like, you tell me what is going on. You tell me what you're feeling. I'm just going to sit here for a minute. Okay. And that is one of the hardest things it's so hard, but I've let her know, I've let other kids know who I have talked to about these kind of feelings, these suicidal thoughts, or anything that there's pornography, addictions, anything. When the thought comes, you don't try and shove it away. Unfortunately, you have to let it pass through. You can't, if you keep shoving it away, that's when things boil up inside, and that's when things get a lot worse. So you have to, I say, I let them pass through kind of like their ghost through a wall is what I say. But they sit there and it's like, you're having this feeling. It's only going to last for a minute. Count to 10. We count to 10. It's still there. Okay, we're going to count to 20. Let's count to 20. We count to 20. If it's still there, okay, we're going to count to 30. Sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we count to 500. But it does eventually pass. And that's the important thing to note, is that it will pass. So yeah, I know it's not the best example, but I mean, that's something I've had to deal with in the last couple of years. So
That's amazing. Thank you.
yeah.
Mallery, I've stayed kind of quiet. I'm just like taking your story in. It's so impactful. Like I feel myself like getting emotional just like listening to your story. Because even though like your story is not the same as mine, not the same as Rachel's or Charlotte's or anyone listening, because everyone has their own story, their own Gethsemane. But I think like the themes are so human, and that's how we can all connect. We've all felt depressed or worthless, or even just feeling so frantic. Even if you have a loving family, but you feel frantic, like something's wrong and you need to go and escape to whatever is your addiction or whatever you feel like you need to run to. I've spoken about this, but when I first went through the temple, I actually hated it. Like I did not love it. And my grandpa was in the temple presidency, and he could kind of tell, like I was surrounded by family and I was just kind of like masking it, right? But I felt like, oh, I need to get out of here. And my grandpa came over to me and he said, how are you feeling? And I said, I can't lie to my grandpa. And I was like, honestly, not great. And he was like, just keep showing up. And that's all he said to me. He said, just keep showing up. And that's something that I felt like in your story, where as you showed up, God shows up. As you strive, he strives even more towards you. And all the miracles that you saw along the way, like everyone can look back on their Gethsemane and see miracles along the way of how he showed up. Sorry, I'm getting so emotional. That's annoying. But
not annoying. That's
okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And then I also had this thought, like one of my favorite scripture stories is when Jesus raised the 12-year-old girl. And he said just two words, Talitha cum or Talitha kumi, which means little girl get up or little girl arise. And that's something that's always stuck with me. And I've kind of like said that to myself. Like if I'm at, well, like in high school or at a college, like anywhere, a party where things are going down, like Talitha kumi, like little girl get up, like you can go. You know, those negative thoughts, Talitha kumi, like little girl get up, like go do something else, go for a walk, go do something, call a friend. Just those two words, I think, has been so impactful in my life, and that's what I'm teaching my daughter. So any like young woman, any man, any boy, you know, phrase it different. Little boy get up, you know, like whatever it is, just know that the Savior, he does not want you to feel those feelings. It comes from someone else, and he loves you. And Mallery, like, thank you for sharing your story. I said that in the beginning, but honestly, like, thank you so much for being so raw and open and vulnerable.
I said, thank you for letting me share my story. Because like I said earlier, it's so important to be able to be honest and open about these kind of things, because you have to get the conversation started. Like you have to. And that, I mean, that, like I said, that was for me when I was younger, that was the problem, is I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling, or I didn't tell anybody what was going through my mind or any of the issues, because I didn't think I was supposed to. I didn't think anybody was going through what I was going through. Everyone is going through something. Mm-hmm. Like you said, everyone has their own personal Gethsemane. Like my siblings tell me all the time, Mal, you're so strong. You're so great. And I replied back to them, no, like drugs, that was my thing. But you guys, they're going through their own thing too. And they don't, like, that's the one thing is like, mine is so intense. My story is pretty intense, like, right. Drugs and all the things and suicide and all those things. But everyone has their intense part of their story. And it's not easy for everybody to share theirs, but the more that we share the things that we go through, the experiences, and like how the Savior has helped us get through those experiences. Oh my gosh. We talk about gathering Israel and connecting and making a Zion. That's what we need, because it's those people on the fringes, on the outside, like how I was, they don't feel like they're accepted. They don't feel like they belong because of all the horrible things, the worthlessness that they feel. But the more of us that we talk about our experiences and share how Jesus saved our lives, I think the more will come, the more we'll become a Zion of one heart, you know?
Yeah,
Amen.
absolutely.
Just one last thing. When you were just talking about how important it is to talk about our relationship with Jesus Christ and our experience with being changed through him. I have a friend, hi, Alina, whose husband was a bishop in Utah, and he felt inspired to tell everybody for that year that their only topic in sacrament meeting was Jesus Christ and a personal experience with him. And so until they got through the entire congregation, everyone who had agreed to talk, which actually with that topic and with the spirit and the environment that was created there, so many people even volunteered to speak. People who had never spoken before or who had turned down speaking assignments in sacrament meeting before, they got up and gave beautiful, deep, raw talks about their relationship with Jesus Christ and their experience with him and his atonement. So you're absolutely right. There is something so beautiful and powerful when we really just open up and talk about that. And everybody has these stories. So thank you so much, Mallery, for sharing yours. And thank you, Brittany and Rachel, for also opening up. This has been beautiful. I feel so inspired, so uplifted, and closer to my Savior because of everything that you shared today. Thank you. And we will be looking in the future for your book, Mallery.
Oh,
From
yeah.
Heroine to Heroine.